Hush, sinned against the light, and even now that day is at hand when he shall come to judge the world by fire. Flap! Ut implerator scripture. Strike up a ballad. Then outspake Medical Dick to his comrade Medical Davy. Christical, who's this excrement yellow gospeler on the Marion Hall? Elijah is coming, washed in the blood of the Lamb. Come on, you wine-fizzling, gin-sizzling, boost-guzzling existences. Come on, you doggone, bull-necked, beetle-browed, hog-jowled, peanut-brained, weasel-eyed four-flushers, false alarms and excess baggage. Come on, you triple extract of infamy. Alexander J. Christ Dowie, that's my name. That's yanked to glory most half this planet from Frisco Beach to Vladivostok. The Deity ain't no nickel-dime bum show. I put you that he's on the square and a cork-and-fine business proposition. He's the grandest thing yet, and don't you forget it. Shout salvation in King Jesus. You'll need to rise precious early, you sinner. There, if you want to diddle the almighty God, flap. Not half. He's got a cough mixture with a punch in it for you, my friend, in his back pocket. Just you try it on. The Mabbott Street entrance of Nighttown, before which stretches an uncobbled tram siding set with skeleton tracks, red and green will-o'-the-wisps and danger signals, rows of grimy houses with gaping doors, rare lamps with faint rainbow fins. Round Rabiotti's halted ice gondola, stunted men and women squabble. They grab wafers between which are wedged lumps of coral and copper snow. Sucking, they scatter slowly. Children, the swan comb of the gondola, high-reared, forges on through the murk, white and blue under a lighthouse. Whistles call and answer. The calls, wait, my love, and I'll be with you. The answers, round behind the stable. A deaf-mute idiot with goggle eyes, his shapeless mouth dribbling, jerks past, shaken, and St. Vitus's dance. A chain of children's hands imprisons him. The children, Kithog, salute. The idiot lifts a palsied arm and gurgles, Gurgle. The children, where's the great light? The idiot, gobbing, Gargahust. They release him. He jerks on. A pygmy woman swings on a rope slung between two railings, counting. A form sprawled against a dustpan, and muffled by its arm and hat snores, groans, grinding, growling teeth, and snores again. On a step, a gnome totting among a rubbish tip crouches to shoulder a sack of rags and bones. A crone standing by with a smoky oil lamp rams her last bottle in the maw of his sack. He heaves his booty, tugs askew his peaked cap, and hobbles off mutely. The crone makes back for her lair, swaying her lamp. A bandy child, a squat on the doorstep with a paper shuttlecock, crawls sidling after her in spurts, clutches her skirt, scrambles up. A drunken navvy grips with both hands the railing of an area, lurching heavily. At a comer, two night watch in shoulder capes, their hands upon their staff holsters loom tall. A plate crashes, a woman screams, a child wails. Oaths of a man's roar, mutter, cease. Figures wander, lurk, peer from warrens. In a room lit by a candle, stuck in a bottleneck, a slut combs out of the tats from the hair of a scrofulous child. Sissy Caffrey's voice, still young, sings shrill from a lane. I gave it to Molly 'cause she was jolly, the leg of the duck, the leg of the duck. Private Car and Private Compton swagger sticks tight in their oxters as they march unsteadily, right about face, and burst together from their mouths a volleyed fart. Laughter of men from the lane, a hoarse virago retorts. The virago, signs on you, hairy arse, more power the cabin girl. Sissy Caffrey, more luck to me, Cavan, Coodahill and Beltaburp. She sings, I gave it to Nellie to stick in her belly, the leg of the duck, the leg of the duck. Private Car and Private Compton turn and counter-retort, their tunics blood-bright in a lamp glow, black sockets of caps on their blonde crop poles. Stephen Daedalus and Lynch pass through the crowd close to the redcoats. Private Compton jerks his finger, wave for the parson. Private Car turns and calls, what ho, parson? Sissy Caffrey, her voice soaring higher, she has got it, she got it, wherever she put it, the leg of the duck. Stephen, flourishing the ash plant in his left hand, chants with joy the introit for paschal time. Lynch, his jockey cap low on his brow, attends him, a sneer of discontent wrinkling his face. Stephen, vidia quam egredentium, di templo allatera dextro, alleluia. The famished snaggletusks of an elderly bawd protrude from a doorway. The bawd, her voice whispering huskily, has come here, I tell you, maidenhead inside. Stephen. Altius aliquantulum, et omnis ad quo pervenit aqua ista. The Bawd spits in their trail her jet of venom. Trinity Medicals, fallopian tube, all prick and no pence. Eddie Boardman, sniffling, crouched with Bertha Supple, draws her shawl across her knuckles. Eddie Boardman bickering. And says the one, I seen you up Faithful Place with your square pusher, the greaser off the railway in his comb-toed hat. Did you, says I. That's not for you to say, says I. You never seen me in the man-trap with a married Highlander, says I, the likes of her. Stag that one is, stubborn as a mule, and her walking with two fellows the one time, Kilbride, the engine driver, and Lance Corporal Oliphant. Stephen, triumphalator, salvi facti sunt. He flourishes his ash plant, shivering the lamp image, shattering light over the world. A liver and white spaniel on the prowl slinks after him, growling. Lynch scares it with a kick. So what? Stephen looks behind, so that gesture, not music, not odor, would be a universal language, the gift of tongues rendering visible, not the lay sense, but the first intellechy, the structural rhythm. Lynch, pornosophical philothology, metaphysics in Mecklenburg Street. Stephen, we have shrew-ridden Shakespeare and hen-pecked Socrates. Even the all-wisest Stagyrite was bitted, bridled, and mounted by a light of love. Lynch, bah. Stephen, anyway, who wants two gestures to illustrate a loaf and a jug? This movement illustrates the loaf and jug of bread or wine in Omar. Hold my stick. Lynch, damn your yellow stick. Where are we going? Stephen, lecherous lynx. To la belle dame sans merci, Georgina Johnson, abdinqui letificat, io ventutum mim. Stephen thrusts the ash plant on him and slowly holds out his hands, his head going back till both hands are a span from his breast, downturned and planes intersecting, the fingers about to part, the left being higher. Lynch, which is the jug of bread? It skills not. That or the custom house? Illustrate thou. Here, take your crutch and walk. They pass. Tommy Caffrey scrambles to a gas lamp and clasping, climbs in spasms. From the top spur he slides down. Jackie Caffrey clasps to climb. The navvy lurches against the lamp. The twins scuttle off in the dark. The navvy, swaying, presses a forefinger against a wing of his nose and ejects from the farther nostril a long liquid jet of snot. Shouldering the lamp, he staggers away through the crowd with his flaring cresset. Snakes of river fog creep slowly. From drains, clefts, cesspools, middens arise on all sides, stagnant fumes. A glow leaps in the south beyond the seaward reaches of the river. The navvy, staggering forward, cleaves the crowd and lurches towards the tram siding on the farther side. Under the railway, Bridge Bloom appears, flushed, panting, cramming bread and chocolate into a side pocket. From Gillen's hairdresser window, a composite portrait shows him gallant, Nelson's image. A concave mirror at the side presents to him, lovelorn, long-lost, Lugubru Buluhum. Grave Gladstone sees him level, bloom for bloom. He passes, struck by the stare of truculent Wellington, but in the convex mirror grin unstruck the Bonham eyes and fat chuck cheek chops of Jolly Poldy, the Rix Dix Doldy. At Antonio Pabiotti's door, Bloom halts, sweated under the bright arc lamp. He disappears. In a moment he reappears and hurries on. Bloom. Fish and taters, yah! He disappears into Olhausen's, the pork butcher's, under the downcoming roll shutter. A few moments later he emerges from under the shutter, puffing Poldy, blowing Bluehoom. In each hand he holds a parcel, one containing a lukewarm pig's crouben, the other a cold sheep's trotter, sprinkled with whole pepper. He gasps, standing upright. Then bending to one side, he presses a parcel against his ribs and groans. Bloom, stitch in my side. Why did I run? He takes a breath with care and goes forward slowly towards the lamp-setting side. The glow leaps again. Bloom, what is that? A flasher? Searchlight? He stands at Cormac's corner, watching. Bloom, Aurora Borealis, or a steel foundry? Ah, the brigade, of course. South side, anyhow. Big blaze. Might be his house. Beggar's Bush. We're safe. He hums cheerfully. London's burning, on fire, on fire. He catches sight of the navvy lurching through the crowd and at the farther side of Talbot Street. I'll miss him. Run, quick. Better cross here. He darts to cross the road. Urchins shout. The urchins. Mind out, mister. Two cyclists with lighted paper lanterns a-swing swim by him, grazing him, their bells rattling. The bells, kring, kring, kring. Bloom halts erect, stunned by a spasm. Ow! He looks round, darts forward suddenly. Through rising fog, a dragon sandstrewer, traveling at caution, slews heavily down upon him, its huge red headlight winking, its trolley hissing on the wire. The motorman bangs his foot gong. The gong, bang, bang, blaback, blood, bug, blue. The brake cracks violently. Bloom, raising a policeman's white-gloved hand, blunders stiff-legged out of the track. The motorman, thrown forward, pug-nosed and on the guide wheel, yells as he slides past over chains and keys. The motorman, "Hey, shit breeches, are you doing the hat trick?" Bloom trick leaps to the curbstone and halts again. He brushes a mudflake from his cheek with a parceled hand. No thoroughfare, close shave, but that cured the stitch. Must take up Sandow's exercises again. On the hands down. Insure against street accident, too. The providential. He feels his trouser pocket. Poor mama's panacea. Heel easily catch and track or bootlace in a cog. Day the wheel of the Black Maria peeled off my shoe at Leonard's corner. Third time's the charm. Shoe trick. Insolent driver. I ought to report him. Tension makes them nervous. Might be the fellow balked me this morning with that horsey woman. Same style of beauty. Quick of him all the same. The stiff walk. True words spoken in jest. That awful cramp in Lad Lane. Something poisonous I ate. Emblem of luck? Why? Probably lost cattle. Mark of the beast. He closes his eyes an instant. Bit light in the head. Monthly or effect of the other. Brain fog fag. That tired feeling. Too much for me now. Ow! A sinister figure leans on plated legs against O'Byrne's wall. A visage unknown, injected with dark mercury. From under a wide-leaved sombrero, the figure regards him with evil eye. Bloom. Buenas noches, señorita Blanca. ¿Qué calle es esta? The figure, impassive, raises a signal arm. Password? Sred Mobat. Bloom. Haha, merci, Esperanto. Slan Leaf, he mutters. Gaelic League spy, sent by that fire-eater. He steps forward. A sack-shouldered ragman bars his path. He steps left. Ragset man left. Bloom. I beg. He swerves, sidles, step aside, slips past and on. Bloom. Keep to the right, right, right. If there is a signpost planted by the touring cub at Step Aside who procured that public boon, I who lost my way and contributed to the columns of the Irish Cyclist, the letter-headed and darkest Step Aside. Keep to the right. Rags and bones at midnight, offense more likely. First place murderer makes for. Wash off his sins in the world. Jackie Caffrey, hunted by Tommy Caffrey, runs full tilt against Bloom. Oh! Shocked on weak hams, he halts. Tommy and Jackie vanish there. Bloom pats with parceled hands, watch fob pocket, book pocket, purse pocket, sweets of sin, potato soap. Bloom. Beware of pickpockets. Old thieves dodge, collide, then snatch your purse. The retriever approaches, sniffing, nose to the ground. A sprawled form sneezes. A stooped, bearded figure appears, garbed in the long caftan of an elder in Zion, and a smoking cap with magenta tassels. Horn spectacles hang down at the wings of the nose. Yellow poison streaks are on the drawn face. Rudolph. Second half-crown waste money today. I told you not to go with drunken goy ever, so you catch no money. Bloom hides the crewbean and trotter behind his back, and crestfallen feels warm and cold feet meet. Ja, ich weiß, Papaki. Rudolph, what you making down this place? Have you no soul? With feeble vulture talons he feels the silent face of Bloom. Are you not my son, Leopold, the grandson of Leopold? Are you not my dear son Leopold, who left the house of his father, and left the God of his fathers, Abraham and Jacob? Bloom, with precaution. I suppose so, father. Mosenthal, all that's left of him. Rudolph, severely. One night they bring you home, drunk as a dog after spend your good money. What you call them running chaps? Bloom, in youth's smart blue Oxford suit with white vest slips, narrow-shouldered and brown alpine hat, wearing gent's sterling silver, Waterbury keyless watch, and double curb Albert with sealed attached. One side of him coated with stiffening mud. Harry is father, only that once. Rudolph, once! Mud head to foot, cut your hand open, lockjaw. They make you kaput, Leopold Leben. You watch them, chaps. Bloom weakly. They challenged me to a sprint. It was muddy and I slipped. Rudolph with contempt. Go 'em, Natchez. Nice spectacles for your poor mother. Bloom. Mama. Ellen Bloom. In pantomimes dames, stringed mobcap, widow twankies, crinoline and bustle, blouse with mutton leg sleeves buttoned behind, grey mittens and cameo brooch, her plaited hair in a crispine net appears over the staircase banisters, a slanted candlestick in her hand, and cries out in shrill alarm, "Oh, blessed Redeemer, what have they done to him, my smelling salts?" She hauls up a reef of skirt and ransacks the pouch of her striped blay petticoat. A file, an Agnus Dei, a shriveled potato, and a celluloid doll fall out. Sacred Heart of Mary, where were you at all? Bloom, mumbling, his eyes downcast, begins to bestow his parcels in his filled pockets, but desists, muttering. A voice sharply, Poldy! Bloom, who? He ducks and wards off a blow clumsily. At your service. He looks up. Beside her mirage of date palms, a handsome woman in Turkish costume stands before him. Opulent curves fill out her scarlet trousers and girdles her. A white yashmak, violet in the night, covers her face, leaving free only her large dark eyes and raven hair. Bloom. Molly. Marion. Welly? Miss Marion, from this out, my dear man, when you speak to me, satirically, has poor little hubby cold feet waiting so long? Bloom shifts from foot to foot. No, not the least little bit. He breathes in deep agitation, swallowing gulps of air, questions, hopes, crubbings for her supper, things to tell her, excuse, desire, spellbound. A coin gleams on her forehead. On her feet are jeweled toe rings. Her ankles are linked by a slender fetter chain. Beside her a camel, hooded with a turreting turban, waits. A silk ladder of innumerable rungs climbs to his bobbing howdah. And he ambles near with disgruntled hindquarters. Fiercely, she slaps his haunch, her gold-curbed wrist bangles angling, scolding him in Moorish. Marion, Neberkata, feninimum. The camel, lifting a foreleg, plucks from a tree a large mango fruit, offers it to his mistress, blinking in his cloven hoof, then drops his head, and grunting with uplifted neck, fumbles to kneel. Bloom stoops his back for leapfrog. Bloom, I can give you, as your business manager, Miss Marion, if you... Marion, so you notice some change? Her hands passing slowly over her trinketed stomacher, a slow friendly mockery in her eyes. Oh, Poldy, you're a poor old stick in the mud. Go and see life, see the wild world. Bloom, I was just going back for that lotion white wax, orange flower water. Shop closes early on Thursday, but first thing in the morning. He pats Diver's pockets. This moving kidney. Ah! He points to the south, then to the east. A cake of new clean lemon soap arises, diffusing light and perfume. The soap. We're a capital couple, our Bloom and I. He brightens the earth, I polish the sky. The freckled face of Sweeney, the druggist, appears in the disk of the soap sun. Sweeney, 3 and a penny, please. Bloom, yes, for my wife, Miss Marion, special recipe. Marion, softly, Poldy. Bloom, yes, ma'am? Marion, ti trema un poco e cuore? In disdain, she saunters away, plump as a pampered pouter pigeon, humming the duet from Don Giovanni. Bloom, are you sure about that Voglio? The pronunciation. He follows, followed by a sniffing terrier. The elderly bod seizes his sleeve, the bristles of her chin mole glittering. The bod, 10 shillings a maidenhead, fresh thing was never touched, 15. There's no one in it, only your old father that's dead drunk. She points in the gap of her dark den, furtive, rain-bedraggled, Bridie Kelly stands. Bridie, Hatch Street, any good in your mind? With a squawk she flaps her bat shawl and runs. A burly rough pursues with booted strides. He stumbles on the steps, recovers, plunges into gloom. Weak squeaks of laughter are heard, weaker. The bod, her wolf eyes shining. He's getting his pleasure. You won't get a virgin in the flash houses. 10 shillings. Don't be all night before the polis and plain coal see us. 67 is a bitch. Leering, Gertie McDowell limps forward. She draws from behind, ogling, and shows coyly her bloodied clout. Gertie, With all my worldly goods, I thee and thou, she murmurs. You did that. I hate you. Bloom, I? When? You're dreaming. I never saw you. The Bawd, leave the gentleman alone, you cheat. Writing the gentleman false letters, street walking and soliciting. Better for your mother take the strap to you at the bedpost, hussy like you. Gertie to Bloom. When you saw all the secrets of my bottom drawer, she paws his sleeves, slobbering. Dirty married man, I love you for doing that to me. She glides away crookedly. Mr. Breen in man's frieze overcoat with loose bellows, pockets, stands in the causeway, her roguish eyes wide open, smiling in all her herbivorous buck teeth. Miss Breen, Mr. Bloom, coughs gravely. Madame, when we last had this pleasure by letter dated the 16th instant. Miss Breen, Mr. Bloom, you down here in the haunts of sin, I caught you nicely, scamp. Bloom hurriedly, not so loud my name. Whatever do you think of me? Don't give me away. Walls have ears. How do you do? It's ages since You're looking splendid, absolutely it. Seasonable weather we're having this time of year. Black refracts heat. Shortcut home here. Interesting quarter. Rescue of fallen women. Magdalene Asylum. I'm the secretary. Miss Breen holds up a finger. Now don't tell a big fib. I know somebody won't like that. Oh, just wait till I see Molly. Slyly. Account for yourself this various minute, or woe betide you. Bloom looks behind. She often said she'd like to visit it, slumming, the exotic, you see, Negro servants and livery too if she had money, Othello, Black Brute, Eugene Stratton, even the bones and cornament of the Livermore Christies, Bowie brothers, sweep for that matter. Tom and Sam Bowie, colored coons in white duck suits, scarlet socks, upstarched Sambo chokers, and large scarlet asters in their buttonholes leap out. Each has his banjo slung. Their paler, smaller, negroid hands jingle the twing-twang wires. Flashing white Kaffir eyes and tusks they rattle through a breakdown in clumsy clogs, twinging, singing, back to back, toe heel, heel toe, with fat clacking nigger lips. Tom and Sam. There's someone in the house with Dinah. Someone in the house I know. Someone in the house with Dinah, playing on the old banjo. They whisk black masks from raw, babby faces, then chuckling, chortling, trumming, twanging, they diddle, cakewalk dance away. Bloom, with a sour, tenderish smile. A little frivol, shall we, if you are so inclined? Would you like me perhaps to embrace you just for a fraction of a second? Miss Breen screams gaily, Oh, you ruck! You ought to see yourself. Bloom, for old sake's sake, I only meant a square party, a mixed marriage mingling of our different little conjugals. You know I had a soft corner for you. Gloomily, 'twas I sent you that valentine of the dear gazelle. Miss Breen, Glory Alice, you do look a holy show, killing simply. She puts out her hand inquisitively. What are you hiding behind your back? Tell us there's a deer. Bloom seizes her wrist with his free hand. Josie Powell that was, prettiest Deb in Dublin. How time flies by. Do you remember harking back in a retrospective arrangement? Old Christmas night, Georgina Simpson's housewarming while they were playing the Irvin Bishop game. Finding the pen blindfold and thought reading? Subject, what is in this snuff box? Miss Breen, you were the lion of the night with your serio-comic recitation, and you looked the part. You were always a favorite with the ladies. Bloom, squire of dames in dinner jacket with watered silk facings, blue Masonic badge in his buttonhole, black bow and mother-of-pearl studs, a prismatic champagne glass tilted in his hand. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Ireland, home and beauty. Miss Breen, the dear dead days beyond recall, love's old sweet song. Bloom, meaningfully dropping his voice. I confess, I'm teapot with curiosity to find out whether some person's something is a little teapot at present. Miss Breen, gushingly, tremendously teapot, London's teapot, and I'm simply teapot all over me. She rubbed sides with him. After the parlor mystery games and the crackers from the tree, we sat on the staircase ottoman, under the mistletoe, two as a company. Bloom, wearing a purple Napoleon hat with an amber half-moon, his fingers and thumb passing slowly down her soft, moist, meaty palm, which she surrenders gently. The witching hour of night, I took the splinter out of his hand, carefully, slowly, tenderly, as he slips on her finger a ruby ring. La citaram la mano. Miss Breen, in a one-piece evening frock executed in moonlight blue, a tinsel sylph's diadem on her brow, with her dance card fallen beside her moon-blue satin slipper, curves her palm softly, breathing quickly. Voglio e non. You're hot, you're scalding, the left hand nearest the heart. Bloom, when you made your present choice, they said it was Beauty and the Beast. I can never forgive you for that. He clenched his fist at the brow. Think what it means, all you meant to me. Hoarsely, woman, it's breaking me. Dennis Breen, white tall-hatted, with Wisdom Helly's sandwich boards, shuffles past them in carpet slippers, his dull beard thrust out, muttering to right and left. Little Alf Bergen, cloaked in the pall of the ace of spades, dogs him to left and right, doubled in laughter. Alf Bergen points jeeringly at sandwich boards. U.P. Up! Miss Breen to Bloom. Hijinks below stairs, she gives him the glad eye. Why didn't you kiss the spot to make it well? You wanted to. Bloom, shocked. Molly's best friend. Could you? Miss Breen, her pulpy tongue between her lips, offers a pigeon kiss. The answer is a lemon. Have you a little present for me there? Bloom, offhandedly. Kosher. A snack for supper. The home without potted meat is incomplete. I was at Leah, Miss Banman Palmer, trenchant exponent of Shakespeare, unfortunately threw away the program. Rattling good place there, round the pig's feet, feel. Richie Golding, 3 ladies' hats pinned on his head, appears weighted to one side of the black legal bag of Collis and Ward, on which a skull and crossbones are painted in white lime wash. He opens it and shows it full of polonies, kippered herrings, Findon haddies, and tight-packed pills. Richie, best value in dub. Bald Pat, bothered beetle, stands on the curbstone, folding his napkin, waiting to wait. Pat advances with a tilted dish of spilling gravy, steak and kidney, bottle of lager. Wait till I wait. Richie, good God, enervate and all. With hanging head, he marches doggedly forward. The navvy, lurching by, gores him with his flaming pronghorn. Richie, with a cry of pain, his hand to his back. Ah! Brights, lights! Bloom oints to the navvy. A spy! Don't attract attention. I hate stupid crowds. I'm not on pleasant bent. I am in grave predicament. Miss Breen, humbugging and deludering as per usual with your cock and bull story. Bloom, I want to tell you a little secret about how I came here, but you must never tell, not even Molly. I have a most particular reason. Miss Breen, all agog. Oh, not for worlds. Bloom, let's walk on, shall us? Miss Breen, let's. The bod makes an unheeded sign. Bloom walks on with Miss Breen. The terrier follows, whining piteously, wagging his tail. The bod, Jumans melt. Bloom, in an oatmeal sporting suit, a sprig of woodbine in the lapel, Tony buff shirt, shepherd's plaid, St. Andrew's cross scarf tie, white spats, fawn dust coat on his arm, tawny red brogues, field glasses and bandolier, and a grey billycock hat. Do you remember a long time ago, years and years ago, just after Millie, Marionette we called her, was weaned, when we all went together to Fairy House races, was it? Miss Breen, in smart Saks tailor-made white velours hat and spider veil. Leopardston. Bloom, I mean Leopardston. And Molly won 7 shillings on a 3-year-old named Nevertail. And coming home along the Fox Rock in that old 5-seater, Shandaran, and a wagonette. You were there in your heyday then, and you had on that new hat of white velours with a surround of mole fur that Mrs. Haynes advised you to buy because it was marked down to 1911, a bit of wire and an old rag of velveteen. And I lay you what you like, she did on purpose. Miss Breen, she did, of course. The cat. Don't tell me. Nice adviser. Bloom, because it didn't suit you 1/4 as well as the other ducky little Tammy Toke with the bird of paradise wing in it that I admired on you, and you honestly looked just too fetching in it, though it was a pity to kill it. You cruel, naughty creature, little mite of a thing with a heart the size of a full stop. Miss Breen squeezes his R's, simpers. Naughty cruel I was. Bloom, low, secretly, even more rapidly. And Molly was eating a sandwich of spiced beef out of Miss Jo Gallahan's lunch basket. Frankly, though, she had her advisors, or admirers. I never cared much for her style. She was Miss Breen, too. Bloom. Yes, and Molly was laughing because Rogers and Maggot O'Reilly were mimicking a cock as we passed a farmhouse, and Marcus Tertius Moses, the tea merchant, drove past us in a gig with his daughter. Dancer Moses was her name, and the poodle in her lap bridled up, and you asked me if I ever heard, or read, or knew, or came across. Miss Breen eagerly, yes, 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 yes. She fades from his side, followed by the whining dog. He walks on towards Hell's Gates. In an archway, a standing woman, bent forward, her feet apart, pisses cowily. Outside a shuttered pub, a bunch of loiterers listen to a tale which their broken-snouted gaffer rasps out with raucous humor. An armless pair of them flop wrestling, growling in maimed, sodden play fight. The gaffer crouches, his voice twisted in his snout. And when Carnes came down with his scaffolding in Beaver Street, what was he doing? It only into the bucket of porter. Was there waiting in the shavings for Derwin's plasterers? The loiterers guffaw with cleft palates. Oh, jays! Their paint-speckled hats wag, splattered with size and lime of their lodges they frisk limblessly about him. Bloom, coincidence too. They think it funny, anything about that. Broad daylight, trying to walk, lucky no woman. The loiterers, jays, that's a good one. Glauber salts, oh jays, into the men's porter. Bloom passes, cheap whores, singly, coupled, shawled, disheveled, call from lanes, doors, corners. The whores, are you going far, queer fellow? How's your middle leg? Got a match on you? Come here till I stiffen it for you. He plodges through their sump towards the lighted street beyond. From a bulge of window curtains, a gramophone rears a battered brazen trunk. In the shadow, a Sheban keeper haggles with the navvy and two redcoats. The navvy belching, "Where's the bloody house?" The Sheban keeper, Purdon Street, shillin' a bottle of stout, respectable woman. The navvy, gripping the two redcoats, staggers forward with them. Come on, you British Army. Private Carr, behind his back. He ain't half balmy. Private Compton laughs. What, huh? Private Carr to the navvy. Portobello Barracks Canteen. You asked for Carr, just Carr. The navvy shouts, We are the boys of Wexford. Private Compton, say, what price the Sergeant Major? Private Carr, Bennett, he's my pal. I love old Bennett. The navvy shouts, The gallon chain, and free our native land. He staggers forward, dragging them with him. Bloom stops at fault. The dog approaches, his tongue out lolling, panting. Bloom, wild goose chase this is, disorderly houses, Lord knows where they're gone, drunks covered distance double quick, nice mix-up, seen at Westland Row, then jumpin' first class with third ticket, then too far, train with engine behind. Might have taken me to Malahide, or a siding for the night or collision. Second drink does it, once is a dose. What am I following him for? Still, he's the best of that lot. If I hadn't heard about Miss Boyfoy, Purefoy, I wouldn't have gone, and wouldn't have met Kismet. He'll lose that cash, relieving office here, good biz for cheap jacks, organs. What do you lack? Soon got, soon gone. Might have lost my life too, with that Mangan wheel track trolley glared juggernaut, only for presence of mind. Can't always save you, though. If I had passed Truelock's window that day, 2 minutes later would have been shot. Absence of body, still if bullet only went through my coat, gets damages for shock, 500 pounds. What was he? Kildare Street Club toff, God help his gamekeeper. He gazes ahead, reading on the wall a scrawled chalk legend, wet dream, and a phallic design. Odd. Molly drawing on the frosted carriage pane at Kingston. What's that like? Gaudy doll women loll in the lighted doorways, in window embrasures, smoking bird's-eye cigarettes. The odor of the sick, sweet weed floats towards him in slow, round, ovaling wreaths. The wreaths, sweet are the sweets, sweets of sin. Bloom, my spine's a bit limp, go or turn. And this food, eat it and get all pig sticky. Absurd I am, waste of money, 1 and 8 pence too much. The retriever drives a cold sniveling muzzle against his hand, wagging his tail. Strange how they take to me, even that brute today. Better speak to him first. Like women, they reconnoiteurs. Stink like a polecat. Chacun son goût. He might be mad, dog days, uncertain in his movements. Good fellow, Fido. Good fellow, Gary Owen. The wolf dog sprawls on his back, wriggly obscenely with begging paws, his long black tongue lolling out. Influence of his surroundings, give and have done with it, provided nobody. Calling encouraging words, he shambles back with a furtive poacher's tread, dogged by the setter, into a dark, stale-stunk corner. He unrolls one parcel and goes to dump the crew bean softly, but holds back and feels the trotter. Sizable for 3 pence, but when I have it in my left hand, calls for more effort. Why? Smaller from want of use. Oh, let it slide, 2 and 6. With regret, he lets the unrolled crew bean and trotter slide. The mastiff mauls the bundle clumsily and gluts himself with growling greed, crunching the bones. 2 rain-caped watch approach, silent and vigilant. They murmur together. The watch. Bloom, of Bloom, for Bloom, Bloom. Each lays hand on Bloom's shoulder. First watch. Caught in the act. Commit no nuisance. Bloom stammers. I am doing good to others. A covey of gulls, storm petrels, rises hungrily from liffey slime with Banbury cakes in their beaks. The gulls, caw, caw, cankery cake. Bloom, the friend of man, trained by kindness. He points, Bob Doran toppling from a high bar stool, sways over the munching spaniel. Bob Doran, Towser, give us the paw, give the paw. The bulldog growls, his scruff standing, a goblet of pig's knuckle between his molars through which rabid scum-spittle dribbles. Bob Doran fills silently into an area. Second watch, prevention of cruelty to animals. Bloom enthusiastically, a noble work. I scolded that tram driver on Harold's Cross Bridge for ill-using the poor horse with his harness scab. Bad French I got for my pains. Of course it was frosty in the last tram. All tales of circus life are highly demoralizing. Signor Maffei, passion pale, in lion tamer's costume with diamond studs in his shirt front, steps forward, holding a circus paper hoop, a curling carriage whip, and a revolver with which he covers the gorging boarhound. Signor Maffei, with a sinister smile. Ladies and gentlemen, my educated greyhound, it was I broke in the bucking bronco Ajax with my patent spike saddle for carnivores, lash under the belly with a knotted thong, block tackle and a strangling pulley will bring your lion to heel, no matter how fractious. Even Leo Ferox there, the Libyan man-eater. A red-hot crowbar and some liniment rubbing on the burning part produced Fritz of Amsterdam, the thinking hyena. He glares. I possess the Indian sign. The glint of my eye does it with these breast sparklers. With a bewitching smile, I now introduce Mademoiselle Ruby, the pride of the ring. First watch. Come, name and address. Bloom, I've forgotten for the moment. Ah, yes, he takes off his high-grade hat, saluting. Dr. Bloom, Leopold, dental surgeon. You have heard of von Bloom Pasha? Umpteen millions. Donaveta. Owns half Austria, Egypt. Cousin. First watch. Proof. A card falls from inside the leather headband of Bloom's hat. Bloom, in red fez caddy's dress coat with broad green sash, wearing a false badge of the Legion of Honor, picks up the card hastily and offers it. Allow me. My club is the Junior Army and Navy. Solicitors, Messrs. John Henry Minton, 27, Bachelor's Walk. First watch reads, Henry Flower, no fixed abode, unlawfully watching and besetting. Second watch, an alibi, you are cautioned. Bloom produces from his heart pocket a crumpled yellow flower. This is the flower in question. It was given me by a man, I don't know his name. Plausibly. You know that old joke, Rose of Castile? Bloom, the change of name. Virag. He murmurs privately and confidentially. We're engaged, you see, Sergeant. Lady in the case, love entanglement. He shoulders the second watch gently. Dash it all. It's a way we gallants have in the Navy. Uniform that does it. He turns gravely to the first watch. Still, of course, you do get your Waterloo sometimes. Drop in some evening, have a glass of old Burgundy. To the second watch gaily, I'll introduce you, Inspector. She's game. Do it in the shake of a lamb's tail. A dark, mercurialized face appears, leading a veiled figure. The dark Mercury. The castle is looking for him. He was drummed out of the army. Martha, thick-veiled, a crimson halter round her neck, a copy of the Irish Times in her hand, in tone of approach, pointing. Henry, Leopold, Lionel, thou lost one, clear my name. First watch sternly, come to the station. Bloom, scared, hats himself, steps back, Then plucking at his heart and lifting his right forearm on the square, he gives the sign in due guard of fellowcraft. No, no, worshipful master, light of love, mistaken identity. The lion's mail, Le Cirque and de Basque. You remember the child's fratricide case, we medical men. By striking him dead with a hatchet, I am wrongfully accused. Better one guilty escape than 99 wrongfully condemned. Martha, sobbing behind her veil. Breach of promise. My real name is Maggie Griffin. He wrote to me that he was miserable. I tell my brother, the Beck of Rugger full back on you, heartless flirt. Bloom, behind his hand. She's drunk. The woman's inebriated. He murmurs vaguely the passive Ephraim. Shit, Broleith. Second watch, tears in his eyes to Bloom. You ought to be thoroughly well ashamed of yourself. Bloom, gentlemen of the jury, let me explain. A pure mare's nest. I'm a man misunderstood. I'm being made a scapegoat of. I'm a respectable, married man, without a stain on my character. I live in a Cleese Street. My wife, I am the daughter of a most distinguished commander. A gallant, upstanding man. What do you call him? Major General Brian Tweedy? One of Britain's fighting men who helped to win our battles. Got his majority for the heroic defense of Rorke's Drift. First watch. Regiment. Bloom turns to the gallery. The Royal Dublins. Boys, the salt of the earth, known the world over. I think I see some old comrades in arms up there among you. The RDF, with our own Metropolitan Police. Guardians of our homes, the pluckiest lads and the finest body of men, as physique, in the service of our sovereign. A voice. Turncoat. Up the Boers. Who booed Joe Chamberlain? Bloom, his hand on the first watch. My old dad was a JP. I'm as staunch as Britisher as you are, sir. I fought with the colours for king and country in the absent-minded war under General Gough in the Park, and was disabled at Spion Kop and Bloemfontein. Was mentioned with dispatches. I did all a white man could. With quiet feeling. Jim Bludso, holder nozzle again the bank. First watch. Profession or trade? Bloom. Well, I follow a literary occupation, author-journalist. In fact, we are just bringing out a collection of prize stories, of which I'm the inventor, something that is entirely new departure. I'm connected with the British and Irish press. If you ring up... Miles Crawford strides out jerkily, a quill between his teeth. His scarlet beak blazes within the aureole of his straw hat. He dangles a hank of Spanish onions in one hand and holds with the other hand a telephone receiver nozzle to his ear. Miles Crawford, his cock's wattles wagging. Hello, 7784. Hello, Freeman's Urinal. And Weekly Arswipe here. Paralyze Europe. You which? Blue bags? Who writes? Is it Bloom? Mr. Philip Beaufoy, pale-faced, stands in the witness box, in accurate morning dress, out-breast pocket with peak of handkerchief showing, creased lavender trousers, and patent boots. He carries a large portfolio labeled Matcham's Masterstrokes. Beaufoy drawls. No, you aren't. Not by a long shot if I know it. I don't see it, that's all. No born gentleman, no one with the most rudimentary promptings of a gentleman would stoop to such particularly loathsome conduct. One of those, my lord, a plagiarist, a soppy sneak masquerading as a literature. It's perfectly obvious that with the most inherent baseness, he has cribbed some of my best-selling copy, really gorgeous stuff, a perfect gem, the love passages in which are beneath suspicion. The Beaufoy books of love and great possessions, with which your lordship is doubtless familiar, are a household word throughout the kingdom. Bloom murmurs with hand-dog meekness glum. That bit about the laughing witch hand and hand I take exception to, if I may. Beaufoy, his lip upcurled, smiles superciliously on the court. You funny ass, you. You're too beastly awfully weird for words. I don't think you need over-excessively disincommodate yourself in that regard. My literary agent, Mr. J.B. Pinker, is in attendance. I presume, my lord, we shall receive the usual witness's fee, shan't we? We are considerably out of pocket over this bally pressman Johnny, this jackdaw of Reims, who has not even been to a university. Bloom indistinctly. University of Life, bad art. Beaufoy shouts, it's a damnably foul lie, showing the moral rottenness of the man. He extends his portfolio. We have here damning evidence, the corpus delicti. My lord, a specimen of my maturer work disfigured by the hallmark of the beast. A voice from the gallery. Moses, Moses, king of the Jews, wiped his arse in the Daily News. Bloom bravely. Overdrawn. Beaufoy, you low cad, you ought to be ducked in the horse pond, you rotter. To the court. Why, look at the man's private life, leading a quadruple existence, street angel and house devil, not fit to be mentioned in mixed society, the arch conspirator of the age. Bloom to the court. And he, a bachelor, how? First watch. The king versus Bloom. Call the woman Driscoll. The crier. Mary Driscoll, scullery maid. Mary Driscoll, a slipshod servant girl, approaches. She has a bucket on the crook of her arm and a scouring brush in her hand. Second watch. Another. Are you unfortunate class? Mary Driscoll, indignantly. I'm not a bad one. I bear a respectable character and was 4 months in my last place. I was in a situation, £6 a year, and my chances with Fridays out, and I had to leave owing to his carryings on. First watch. What do you tax him with? Mary Driscoll. He made a certain suggestion, but I thought more of myself as poor as I am. Bloom, in house jacket of ripple cloth, flannel trousers, heedless slippers, unshaven, his hair rumpled, softly. I treated you right. I gave you mementos, smart emerald girdles far above your station. Incautiously I took your part when you were accused of pilfering. There's a medium in all things. Play cricket. Mary Driscoll excitedly. As God is looking down on me this night if I ever laid a hand to them oysters. First watch. The offense complained of? Did something happen? Mary Driscoll. He surprised me in the rear of the premises, Your Honor, when the missus was out shopping one morning with a request for a safety pin. He held me and I was discolored in 4 places as a result, and he interfered twict with my clothing. Bloom. She counter-assaulted. Mary Driscoll scornfully. I had more respect for the scouring brush, so I had. I remonstrated with him, your lord, and he remarked, keep it quiet. General laughter. George Futrell, clerk of the Crown and Peace, resonantly. Order in the court. The accused will now make a bogus statement. Bloom, pleading not guilty and holding a full-blown water lily, begins a long, unintelligible speech. They would hear what counsel had to say in his stirring address to the grand jury. He was down and out, but though branded as a black sheep, if he might say so, he meant to reform, to retrieve the memory of the past in a purely sisterly way, and to return to nature as a purely domestic animal, a 7-month child. He had been carefully brought up and nurtured by an aged, bedridden parent. There might have been lapses of an erring father, but he wanted to turn over a new leaf. And now, when at long last in sight of the whipping post, to lead a homely life in the evenings of his days, permeated by the affectionate surroundings of the heaving bosom of a family. An acclimatized Britisher, he had seen that summer eve from the footplate of an engine cab of the Loop Line Railway Company, while the train refrained from falling glimpses, as it were, through the windows of loveful households in Dublin City, an urban district of scenes truly rural of happiness, of the better land with Dockrell's wallpaper, at 1 and 9 a dozen. Innocent British-born barons lisping prayers to the sacred infant, youthful scholars grappling with their pensums, or model young ladies playing on the pianoforte, or anon all with fervor reciting the family rosary around the crackling Yule log, while in the boreens and green lanes with colleens, with their swains strolled what times the strains of the organ-toned Melodian Britannia metal-bound with 4 acting stops and 12-fold bellows, a sacrifice, greatest bargain ever. Renewed laughter. He mumbles incoherently. Reporters complain that they cannot hear. Longhand and shorthand, without looking up from their notebooks. Loosen his boots. Professor McHugh. From the press table, coughs and calls. Cough it up, man. Get it out in bits. The cross-examination proceeds. Bloom and the bucket. A large bucket. Bloom himself. Bowel trouble. In Beaver Street gripe. Yes. Quite bad. A plasterer's bucket. By walking stiff-legged. Suffered untold misery, deadly agony, about noon, love or burgundy. Yes, some spinach. Crucial moment. He did not look in the bucket. Nobody. Rather a mess. Not completely. A titbit's back number. Uproar and catcalls. Bloom in a torn frock coat stained with whitewash. Dinged silk hat sideways on his head. A strip of sticking plaster across his nose. Talks inaudibly. J.J. O'Malloy, in barrister's grey wig and stuff gown, speaking with a voice of pained protest. This is no place for indecent levity at the expense of an erring mortal disguised in liquor. We are not in a bear garden, nor at an Oxford Ragnar is this a travesty of justice. My client is an infant, a poor, foreign immigrant, who started scratch as a stowaway, and is now trying to earn an honest penny. The trumped-up misdemeanor was due to a momentary aberration of heredity, brought on by hallucination, such familiarities as the alleged guilty occurrence being quite permitted in my client's native place, the land of the Pharaoh. Prima facie, I put it to you that there was no attempt at carnally knowing. Intimacy did not occur, and the offense complained of by Driscoll that her virtue was solicited was not repeated. I would deal in especial with atavism. There have been cases of shipwreck and somnambulism in my client's family. If the accused could speak, he could tell a tale unfold, one of the strangest that have ever been narrated between the covers of a book. He himself, my lord, is a physical wreck from Cobbler's weak chest. His submission is that he is of Mongolian extraction and irresponsible for his actions. Not all there, in fact. Bloom, barefoot, pigeon-breasted, in Lasker's vest and trousers, apologetic toes turned in, opens his tiny mole's eyes and looks about him dazedly, passing a slow hand across his forehead. Then he hitches his belt sailor fashion and with a shrug of oriental obeisance salutes the court, pointing one thumb heavenward. Him makey velly muchy fine night. He begins to lilt simply. Lee poo lil chilly. Blingy pigfoot every night. Payee 2 shilly. He is howled down. J.J. O'Malloy, hotly to the populace. This is a lone-handed fight. By Hades, I will not have any Kleinamon gagged and badgered in this fashion by a pack of curs and laughing hyenas. The Mosaic Code has superseded the law of the jungle. I say it, and I say it emphatically, without wishing for one moment to defeat the ends of justice. Accused was not accessory before the act, and prosecutrix has not been tampered with. The young person was treated by defendant as if she were his very own daughter. Bloom takes J.J. O'Malloy's hand and raises it to his lips. I shall call rebuting evidence to prove up to the hilt that the hidden hand is again at its old game. When in doubt, persecute Bloom. My client, an innately bashful man, would be the last man in the world to do anything ungentlemanly, which injured modesty could object to, or cast a stone at a girl who took the wrong turning when some dastard, responsible for her condition, had worked his own sweet will on her. He wants to go straight. I regard him as the whitest man I know. He is down on his luck at present, owning to the mortgaging of his expensive property at Agendath Nataim in faraway Asia Minor, slides of which will now be shown. To Bloom, I suggest that you will do the handsome thing. Bloom, a penny in the pound. The image of the lake of Kinnereth with blurred cattle cropping in silver haze is projected on the wall. Moses Lugatz, ferret-eyed albino, in blue dungarees, stands up in the gallery, holding in each hand an orange citron and a pork kidney. Lugatz hoarsely, Bleibzollstrasse, Berlin, W13. J.J. O'Malloy steps on a low plinth and holds the lapel of his coat with solemnity. His face lengthens, grows pale and bearded, with sunken eyes, the blotches of phthisis and hectic cheekbones of John F. Taylor. He applies his handkerchief to his mouth and scrutinizes the galloping tide of rose-pink blood. J.J. O'Malloy, almost voicelessly, Excuse me, I'm suffering from a severe chill, having recently come from a sick bed. A few well-chosen words. He assumes the Aveen head, foxy mustache, and probocidal eloquence of Seymour Bush. When the angel's book comes to be opened, if aught that the pensive bosom has inaugurated of souls transfigured, and of soul transfiguring deserves to live, I say accord the prisoner at the bar the sacred benefit of the doubt. A paper with something written on it is handed to the court. Bloom, in court dress. Can give best references, Messrs. Callan Coleman, Mr. Wisdom Helly, J.P., my old chief, Joe Cuff, Mr. V.B. Dillon, ex-Lord Mayor of Dublin. I have moved in the charmed circle of the highest, queens of Dublin society. Carelessly, I was just chatting this afternoon at the Viceregal Lodge to my old pals, Sir Robert and Lady Ball, Astronomer Royal at the Levee. Sir Bob, I said. Miss Yelverton Barry, in low corsaged opal ball dress and elbow-length ivory gloves, wearing a sable-trimmed brick-quilted dolman, a comb of brilliance and panache of osprey in her hair. Arrest him, constable. He wrote me an anonymous letter in Printon's backhand when my husband was in the North Riding in Tipperary on the Munster Circuit, signed James Lovebirch. He said that he had seen from the gods my peerless globes as I sat in a box of the Theatre Royal at the command performance of La Cigala. I deeply inflamed him, he said. He made improper overtures to me to misconduct myself at 4:30 p.m. on the following Thursday, Dunsink time. He offered to send me through the post a work of fiction by Monsieur Paul de Kock, entitled The Girl with the Three Pairs of Stays. Miss Bellingham, in cap and seal coney mantle, wrapped up to the nose, steps out of her brougham, and scans through tortoiseshell quizzing glasses which she takes from inside her huge opossum muff. Also to me, yes, I believe it is the same objectionable person, because he closed my carriage door outside Sir Thornley Stoker's one sleety day during the cold snap of February, '93, when even the grit of the wastepipe and the ball stop of my bath cistern were frozen. Subsequently, he enclosed a bloom of Edelweiss cold on the heights, as he said, in my honor. I had it examined by a botanical expert, and elicited the information that it was a blossom on the homegrown potato plant purloined from a forcing case of the model farm. Miss Elverton Barry, shame on him! A crowd of sluts and ragamuffins surges forward. The sluts and magaruffins screaming, "Stop, thief! Hurrah there, Bluebeard! 3 cheers for Ike Mo!" Second watch produces handcuffs. Here are the Darbys. Miss Bellingham, he addressed me in several handwritings with fulsome compliments as a Venus in furs and alleged profound pity for my frost-bound coachman Palmer, while in the same breath he expressed himself as envious of his ear flaps and fleecy sheep skins, and of his fortunate proximity to my person, when standing behind my chair wearing my livery and the armorial bearings of the Bellingham escutcheon garnished sable, a buck's head coupe d'or. He lauded almost extravagantly my nether extremities, my swelling calves and silk hose drawn up to the limit, and eulogized glowingly my other hidden treasures and priceless lace which, he said, he could conjure up. He urged me, stating that he felt it his mission in life to urge me, to defile the marriage bed, to commit adultery at the earliest possible opportunity. The Honorable Miss Turvin Talboys, in Amazon costume, hard hat, jack boots, cock spurred, vermilion waistcoat, fawn musketeer gauntlets with braided drums, long train held up and hunting crop, which she strikes her welt constantly. Also me, because he saw me on the polo ground of the Phoenix Park at the match. All Ireland versus the rest of Ireland. My eyes, I know, shone divinely as I watched Captain Slogger Dennehy of the Enniskillings win the final chukker on his darling cob centaur. This plebeian Don Juan observed me from behind a hackney car and sent me in double envelopes an obscene photograph, such as are sold after dark on Paris boulevards, insulting to any lady. I have it still. It represents a partially nude señorita, frail and lovely, his wife, as he solemnly assured me, taken by him from nature, practicing illicit intercourse with a muscular torero, evidently a blackguard. He urged me to do likewise, to misbehave, to send with officers of the garrison. He implored me to soil his letter in an unspeakable manner, to chastise him as he richly deserves, to bestride and ride him, to give him a most vicious horsewhipping. Miss Bellingham, me too. Miss Elverton Barry, me too. Several highly respectable Dublin ladies hold up in proper letters received from Bloom. The Honourable Miss Mervyn Talboys stamps her jiggling spurs in a sudden paroxysm of fury. I will, by the God above me, I'll scourge the pigeon-livered cur as long as I can stand over him. I'll flay him alive. Bloom, his eyes closing, quails expectantly. Here? He squirms. Again? His pants cringing. I love the danger. The Honourable Miss Turvin Talboys, very much so. I'll make it hot for you. I'll make you dance Jack Latin for that. Miss Bellingham, tan his breech well, the upstart. Write the stars and stripes on it. Miss Yelverton Barry, disgraceful. There's no excuse for him, a married man. Bloom, all these people, I meant only the spanking idea, a warm tingling glow without effusion, refined birching to stimulate the circulation. The Honourable Miss Mervyn Talboys laughs derisively. Oh, did you, my fine fellow? Well, by the living God, you'll get the surprise of your life now, believe me, the most unmerciful hiding a man ever bargained for. You have lashed the dormant tigress in my nature into fury. Miss Bellingham shakes her muff and quizzing glasses vindictively. Make him smart, Hannah dear. Give him ginger. Thrash the mongrel within an inch of his life. The cat o' nine tails. Geldon, vivisect him. Bloom, shuddering, shrinking, joins his hands, with hand-dog mien. Oh, cold, oh, shivery, it was your ambrosial beauty. Forget, forgive, kismet. Let me off this once. He offers the other cheek. Miss Yelverton Barry, severely. Don't do so on my account, Miss Talboys. He should be soundly trounced. The Honorable Miss Mervyn Talboys, unbuttoning her gauntlet violently. I'll do no such thing. Pig dog and always, ever since he was pupped, to dare address me? I'll flog him black and blue in the public streets. I'll dig my spurs in him up the rowel. He is well known, cuckold. She swishes her hunting crop savagely in the air. Take down his trousers without loss of time. Come here, sir. Quick. Ready? Bloom, trembling, beginning to obey. The weather has been so warm. Davy Steffens, ringletted, passes with a bevy of barefoot newsboys. Davy Steffens, messenger of the Sacred Heart and Evening Telegraph, with St. Patrick's Day supplement, containing the new addresses of all the cuckolds in Dublin. The Very Reverend Canon O'Hanlon, in cloth of gold cope, elevates and exposes a marble timepiece. Before him, Father Conroy and the Reverend John Hughes, S.J., bend low. The timepiece unportaling. Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. The brass quoits of a bed are heard to jingle. The quoits, jig-jag, jigga-jigga, jig-jag. A panel of fog rolls back rapidly, revealing rapidly in the jury box the faces of Martin Cunningham, foreman, Silk-hatted, Jack Power, Simon Daedalus, Tom Kernan, Ned Lambert, John Henry Minton, Miles Crawford, Linehan, Paddy Leonard, Nosey Flynn, McCoy, and the featureless face of a nameless one. The nameless one, bareback riding, wait for age, gob, he organized her. The jurors, all their heads turned to his voice. Really? The nameless one snarls, arse over tip, 100 shillings to 5. The jurors, all their heads lowered in assent. Most of us thought as much. First watch, he's a marked man, another girl's plate cut. Wanted, Jack the Ripper, £1,000 reward. Second watch, awed whispers, and in black, a Mormon? Anarchist. The crier, loudly, whereas Leopard Bloom of no fixed abode is a well-known dynamitard, forger, bigamist, bawd and cuckold, and a public nuisance to the citizens of Dublin, and whereas this commission of assize is the most honourable, His Honour, Sir Frederick Falconer, Recorder of Dublin, in judicial garb of grey stone rises from the bench, stone-bearded. He bears in his arms an umbrella sceptre, from his forehead arise starkly the mosaic ram's horns. The Recorder, I will put an end to this white slave traffic and rid Dublin of this odious pest. Scandalous. He dons the black cap. Let him be taken, Mr. Sub-Sheriff, from the dock where he now stands and detained in custody in Mountjoy prison, during his Majesty's pleasure, and there be hanged by the neck until he is dead, and therein fail not at your peril, or may the Lord have mercy on your soul. Remove him. A black skullcap descends upon his head. The sub-sheriff, Long John Fanning, appears, smoking a pungent Henry Clay. Long John Fanning scowls and calls with rich, rolling utterance, Who'll hang Judas Iscariot? H. Rumbold, master barber, in a blood-colored jerkin and tanner's apron, a rope coiled over his shoulder, mounts the block. A life-preserver and a nail-studded bludgeon are stuck in his belt. He rubs grimly his grappling hands, knobbed with knuckle-dusters. Rumbold, to the Recorder with sinister familiarity. Hanging Harry, your Majesty, the Mersey terror. 5 guineas a jugular, neck or nothing. The bells of George's church toll slowly,